I spent the morning going back through exactly what happened in Lebanon yesterday. And the more I read, the clearer it got that this wasn't just another flag ceremony. Let me walk you through what's actually going on. Before we get into it, drop the country you're watching from in the comments. I'm genuinely curious where everyone's tuning in today. I actually read them. So there's a moment from yesterday that most of the news clips didn't capture. You saw the headline, right? Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam places a flag in a village called Zawtar al-Gharbiya after Israeli troops pull out. 20 seconds of footage, a handshake, a flagpole, and then the coverage moves on to the next thing. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. What actually went down in that village yesterday is a signal. A very specific, very dangerous signal. And I want to explain it to you the way I pieced it together this morning. Because if you only watch the 30-second clip, you're going to miss the whole point. Let me back up a minute. Because I think we all got a little numb to the headlines out of the Middle East over the last couple years. It's just a lot, constantly. And I get it, I really do. You hear Israeli withdrawal, and you think, okay, that's good, right? Troops leaving, flag goes up. The village is back in Lebanese hands. Everyone goes home. Happy ending. That is not what's happening. Nawaf Salam isn't some local mayor cutting a ribbon. He's the Prime Minister of Lebanon. He didn't just wander down to the border for a photo op. He made a calculated decision to plant that flag personally in a village that's been hammered by cross-border fire for months. And he did it on a day when the region is literally one bad move away from a much wider war. So let's slow down. Let's break this apart. Because if you understand the geography of Zawtar al-Gharbiya, and if you understand who Nawaf Salam actually is, the whole thing starts to look a lot less like a victory lap and a lot more like a warning shot. Here's the layout. Zawtar al-Gharbiya is in southern Lebanon. It's in the district of Bint Jbeil, which is right up against the border with Israel. And here's the thing about that area. It's Hezbollah territory. Not officially on paper, but on the ground. That's where Hezbollah has its support base. That's where their fighters operate from. That's where the rockets get launched. So when Israeli troops are in that area, they're not just occupying empty farmland. They're occupying a flashpoint. And when they pull out, and the Lebanese Prime Minister himself walks in to put up a flag, that's a message being sent to multiple people at once. Now ask yourself, who exactly is that message for? Because it's not just for the people of Zawtar. It's not just for the Lebanese government. It's for Hezbollah. It's for Israel. It's for Iran. It's for the United States. And that's what the news clip doesn't tell you. The news clip just shows a man in a suit holding a flagpole. It doesn't tell you that this same prime minister has been trying to walk a tightrope between Hezbollah's armed wing and the international community. It doesn't tell you that he was appointed just a few months ago, after Lebanon spent 2 years without a functioning president. It doesn't tell you that the country's economy is still in shambles, that the banks are frozen, that people are still struggling to buy bread. So why would he go to the border himself? Why not send a deputy? Why not issue a press release from Beirut? Because he needed to be seen. He needed to be seen by Hezbollah. He needed to be seen by the Lebanese people. He needed to be seen by the Americans who are trying to broker some kind of ceasefire in the region. He needed to be seen planting that flag on ground that Israel just left, because that ground is contested. And contested ground is where political careers are made or broken. Let me take you back a little bit, because this whole thing has been building for months. Remember October 7th? Of course you do. Everyone does. That's the day everything shifted. The attack from Gaza, the Israeli response, the escalation, the whole chain reaction that's still unfolding. And right after that, Hezbollah started firing rockets into northern Israel. Every day. Rockets, drones, anti-tank missiles. It wasn't a full-scale war at first. It was more like a slow burn, a grinding daily harassment, the kind of thing that keeps people in shelters, keeps kids out of school, keeps the whole region on edge. Israel responded with airstrikes, then with ground incursions, then with the kind of targeted assassinations that make the news for a day and then fade. And throughout all of that, the Lebanese government didn't have much to say, because they couldn't, because Hezbollah is more powerful than the Lebanese army, because Iran funds them, arms them, directs them, and because the Prime Minister of Lebanon doesn't actually control the south of his own country. That's the dirty secret nobody likes to talk about. Lebanon is a country with a flag, a national anthem, a seat at the United Nations, and a massive armed militia that operates as a state within a state. And that militia has been trading blows with Israel for over a year now, while the official government watches from the sidelines. But Nawaf Salam, he's a different kind of leader. He's a former judge. He served at the International Court of Justice. He's not a career politician from the old guard. He's not beholden to the same warlords and faction leaders that have run Lebanon into the ground. He's a technocrat, a reformer, and he got the job with the explicit backing of the United States and Saudi Arabia. So you can see where this is going. He's supposed to be the guy who brings Lebanon back from the brink, the guy who reasserts state authority, the guy who shows the world that Lebanon can govern itself without Hezbollah calling the shots. And yesterday, he walked right into Hezbollah's backyard and planted the national flag. Now, I don't know if you're picking up on the weight of that, but let me be really clear. He didn't just go to a liberated village. He went to a village that Hezbollah considers its own territory. He went to a village that has been a launching pad for attacks against Israel. He went to a village where the residents have been living under Hezbollah's social services, Hezbollah's schools, Hezbollah's courts. And he put up the flag of the Lebanese state. What do you think that looks like to the people in that village? What do you think that looks like to Hezbollah's leadership? What do you think that looks like to Iran's supreme leader who's watching this from Tehran? It looks like a challenge, a direct, undeniable challenge. And here's the part that really got me thinking. The timing. Why now? Why this village? Why this particular withdrawal? Because Israeli troops didn't just pull out of Zawtar al-Gharbiya because they felt like it. That's not how the Israeli military works. They pull out because they've achieved something, or because they've been forced to, or because they're repositioning for something bigger. And I can't shake the feeling that this withdrawal and this flag planting are both part of a larger chess move that we're not seeing yet. Let me explain. Israeli troops have been conducting operations in southern Lebanon since October of 2024. They've been clearing Hezbollah infrastructure, tunnel networks, rocket depots, observation posts. They've been doing what the Lebanese army can't do and won't do. And slowly, village by village, they've been pushing deeper into Lebanese territory. But lately, there's been a shift. The Israeli government is under enormous pressure to de-escalate. The families of hostages are still waiting. The northern residents still can't go home. And the international community is screaming for a ceasefire. So the Israelis are starting to pull back from some positions. Not all of them, not a full withdrawal, but a tactical repositioning. And that repositioning created a vacuum, a political vacuum, a vacuum that Nawaf Salam just walked right into. Because if the Lebanese state can show that it's capable of filling the vacuum left by Israel, then Hezbollah's entire reason for existing starts to look shaky. Hezbollah's whole argument is that the state is too weak to defend Lebanon, that they have to be the ones with the guns, that without them, Israel would just march all the way to Beirut. But if the prime minister himself can walk into a village the day after Israel leaves, and if nobody shoots him, nobody stops him, nobody even confronts him, what does that say about Hezbollah's control? It says it's slipping. Now, look, I'm not saying one flag ceremony changes everything, but I'm saying it changes something. It changes the perception. It changes the narrative. It changes who looks strong and who looks weak. And in the Middle East, perception is reality. That's how the whole thing works. If you look weak, you are weak. If you look strong, you gain allies. You gain leverage. You gain room to maneuver. Nawaf Salam looked strong yesterday. He looked like a prime minister. He looked like someone who commands a country. He looked like the kind of leader who could actually stand up to Hezbollah. And that is terrifying. It's terrifying to Hezbollah. It's terrifying to Iran. It's terrifying to the hardliners in Israel who want to keep the pressure on. Because if the Lebanese state starts to look legitimate again, then the whole regional equation changes. You've got Iran, right? Iran is bleeding right now. They're losing proxies. Hamas is decimated in Gaza. Hezbollah is getting pounded in Lebanon. The Houthis are getting hit in Yemen. Iran's nuclear program is more vulnerable than it's been in years. And now, on top of all that, the leader of Lebanon is planting a flag and saying, "We're back, we're the government, we're in control." That's a slap in the face to Tehran. That's a slap in the face to every Iranian strategist who's been betting on Lebanon as a frontline state. That's a slap in the face to the whole axis of resistance. So what happens next? That's the question I keep coming back to. Does Hezbollah retaliate? Does the Israeli military redeploy? Does Iran order an escalation to remind everyone who really calls the shots in southern Lebanon? Or does nothing happen? Because nothing happening would actually be the most dangerous outcome. Think about it. If Hezbollah doesn't respond, if they just let this stand, they look weak. They lose credibility with their own base. They lose the fear factor that's kept them in power for decades. And if they look weak, someone will test them. Someone always tests the weak. Now let me talk about what this means for the United States, because that's where you come in. The Biden administration and now the incoming Trump administration have both been trying to dial down the Middle East conflict. They don't want a regional war. They don't want oil prices spiking. They don't want American troops getting dragged into another quagmire. So they've been pushing for a ceasefire in Lebanon. They've been pushing for a diplomatic solution. They've been trying to separate Lebanon from Gaza to keep that front from exploding. And here's Nawaf Salam, the American-backed prime minister, pulling a move like this. I mean, you have to admire the audacity. The guy is basically daring Hezbollah to do something about it. He's daring them to try and take back that village. He's daring them to expose themselves as the bullies who can't stand a flag. But he's also forcing the United States into a corner. Because if Hezbollah does retaliate, and if Israel responds to that retaliation, then the American-backed prime minister just became a target. And then the United States has to decide, do we back him? Do we send a carrier group? Do we ramp up the rhetoric, or do we let him twist in the wind? That's not a comfortable president, not one bit. Let me also talk about the Israeli perspective, because I think that's getting misrepresented in the coverage. The Israeli government, they're not naive. They know exactly what Nawaf Salam is doing. And they're probably okay with it for now. Because here's the thing about Israel and Lebanon. Israel doesn't want to occupy southern Lebanon. They did that in 1982. They did that in 2006. It didn't work. It cost too much. It kills too many soldiers. What Israel wants is a secure border. They want Hezbollah pushed back north of the Litani River. They want the UN resolution that's been on the books since 2006 actually enforced. And if Nawaf Salam can do that through political means, if he can reassert Lebanese sovereignty over that border area, if he can make Hezbollah irrelevant, Israel will cheer him on. Quietly, from a distance. But they'll also keep their hand on the trigger because they don't trust him. Why would they? He's a leader of a country that's half controlled by their enemy. He's a politician who needs to balance competing factions. He's a man who could turn on them tomorrow if the politics shift. That's the tragedy of the Middle East. Nobody trusts anybody. Every handshake is temporary. Every flag ceremony is just a pause in the fighting. And yet, this moment still matters. Because Nawaf Salam just did something that no Lebanese prime minister has done in years. He stepped onto contested ground in a Hezbollah stronghold under the gaze of the entire world, and he asserted that Lebanon exists, that Lebanon has a right to that land, that Lebanon is a country, not a playground for Iran's proxies. That's not nothing. That's actually a lot. But let me zoom out again, because this isn't just about Lebanon. This is about Iran. This is about the axis of resistance that Iran has built over 40 years. And that axis is cracking. You can see it in Gaza. You can see it in Syria. You can see it in Lebanon. Everywhere Iran has proxies, those proxies are under pressure. And when an empire starts to crack, the people at the edge start to question their loyalty. They start to wonder if they're on the winning side. They start to look for new patrons, new alliances, new deals. Nawaf Salam is betting on that. He's betting that Hezbollah is weaker than they appear. He's betting that the Lebanese people are tired of war. He's betting that the international community will support him if he makes bold moves. And he's betting that Israel will let him win, as long as the border stays quiet. That's a hell of a bet. And you know what the worst part is? The worst part is that even if he's right, even if he pulls this off, even if Lebanon somehow emerges from this chaos with a stronger state and a weaker Hezbollah, the underlying conflict doesn't go away. Iran is still there. Israel is still there. The religious divide is still there. The water is still scarce. The refugees are still displaced. The trauma is still deep. So what do we do with that? What do we as viewers, as Americans watching from thousands of miles away, what do we take from this? I think we take two things. First, we take the understanding that nothing in the Middle East is simple. When you see a flag ceremony on the news, don't just assume it's a happy ending. Dig deeper. Ask who's holding the flag. Ask who just left. Ask who's watching. Ask who benefits. Because every single action in that region is layered with meaning, with history, with blood. And second, we take a very hard look at our own government's role in this. The United States is backing Nawaf Salam. We're giving him diplomatic support. We're probably giving him financial support. We're betting on him too. And that's a risk. Because if he loses, if Hezbollah pushes back, if the situation escalates, we're going to be caught in the middle. Again, like we always are. I'm tired of that, honestly. I'm tired of watching the same cycle play out over and over. I'm tired of seeing American presidents make promises they can't keep. I'm tired of seeing American soldiers get killed in places most Americans can't even find on a map. But I'm also tired of pretending it doesn't matter. It does matter. It matters because the Middle East is where a lot of our energy comes from. It matters because our allies are there. It matters because our enemies are there. It matters because the next big war could start there. And we're not ready. We're never ready. So let me leave you with this. Yesterday, Nawaf Salam planted a flag in a small Lebanese village. He did it with courage, with calculation, and with a clear message. But that flag is just a piece of cloth. It doesn't stop bullets. It doesn't stop rockets. It doesn't stop drones. What stops those things is power, real power. And the question that's hanging over the entire region right now is, who actually has the power? Is it Iran? Is it Israel? Is it Hezbollah? Is it the United States? Or is it nobody? Because that's the scariest possibility of all. That nobody is really in charge. That we're all just stumbling from crisis to crisis, reacting instead of acting, and hoping that somebody else figures it out. I don't know the answer. I really don't. But I do know that what happened in Zawtar, al-Gharbiya yesterday isn't the end of anything. It's the beginning of something. And we're all going to have to watch what comes next. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. And look, if you want to keep following this with me, I'll be right here, breaking it down, walking through the details that the networks skip. Because honestly, I think you deserve to know what's actually going on. I'll see you in the next one.